All right, welcome everyone to the Dev Fireside podcast. My name is Mikko. I'm joined here today by Liz, Wendy, and Howard from the office. So welcome, guys. So we've been covering a lot of stuff going on during the course of the weeks. Some of it discussed during our streams in the Dev Games, some of it during the coffee hour that we have with me and Queso discussing a little bit about PS4. But let's recap on a couple of things going on and just discuss some of the interesting things that have been coming up in some of the topics and feedback we've been getting from our players recently. So I guess we'll just start off really briefly here. Howard, how are things at the office? How are things with you guys?
We're playing Tekken in the background.
Is that research or is it just more recreational?
No, it's recreational. It's always recreational.
Okay. So it's never like an inspiration to anything like subtle there.
Yeah, it's either Tekken or Smash Brothers right now.
So who's your favorite character?
I don't play Tekken. Well, let's put it this way. I stopped playing Tekken.
Are you more of a Mortal Kombat guy?
Yes.
I'm more of a Street Fighter guy.
Street Fighter, okay. Okay, I'll give you that. Is there a particular character in that you like?
Huh?
Particular characters you like in that one?
I try to be versatile.
Versatile, yeah.
As much as I can. Yeah, because I mean, sometimes I use characters that
someone who just charges into attack frequently.
I think being versatile is good.
Is anyone at the office like the top player among you guys? Like, is there a competition?
Like Tim wins most of it seems Tim's like the Tekken person to beat, and
Tim's our art director, by the way.
Smash Brothers, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. I heard like Tom plays pretty well. I think Eugene plays well. Matt plays pretty well.
Do you guys have like some sort of off and on contests in the office from time to time for awards?
I think no. I think it's just whoever wins the match shit talks.
Just takes home the glory.
Instant gratification, like right there.
So, on that point, then I guess things have been pretty laid back with you guys this week as far as development and work and all that.
Definitely not. Especially people who are part of the morning meeting just now. Like, yeah.
It's always busy with us.
Really. Although we did try to figure out how to improve afterwards. So we did send our piece to each other afterwards. So at least we had conflict and conflict resolution, like almost within an hour.
Yeah, we're kind of direct like that. That's how we like to work. So Hamsterdam has been seeing some attention lately. Want to elaborate a little bit on that, Wendy?
Oh yeah, so we have been nominated for an IMGA award, and it's really exciting because Hamsterdam has always been a passion project that is becoming its own full game. And that's a really exciting process to take with it. So for those of you who have not been following Hamsterdam, it is a really cute kind of beat 'em up fighter style game that unites a lot of the gestural controls that are familiar with us with the new technology that is coming to the market using a lot of the touch screen abilities like swiping and mashing. So it's a very familiar concept in a very new landscape, and that is an exciting way to bring this genre forward. It's also got a very unique, beautiful style that has some really badass camera movements while having this innocent world of little animals that are really cute to look at being incredibly brutal to each other without any kind of blood showing. So it's bringing me personally, for somebody who has not played games like that before, into a very wholesome place, even though it is a beat 'em up. So I'm really enjoying it. And anyway, being nominated as one of these selected games is a very huge honor and a very big step for us, bringing it into 2018. And if you want, you can vote for us. We're going to put the link in the description box for you so you can find it. And it would mean a lot for us if you could support us on this journey, making this a very successful and beautiful game.
Yeah, and links are also available on the start screen for Guns of Icarus as well as
so anyways, they have this people's choice thing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's basically just they basically just it's for their promo, I guess, but it's just for developers to beg people for votes and see like, whatever game is more popular. So we're doing that. It's not the first time that we beg people for votes. And so we're doing it again. And obviously if people want to support like the project or think that it's a worthwhile thing that we're doing, then please, feel free, give it a vote. Just asking you straight up for, to vote for it. If not, don't worry about it. Just keep playing the game and,
it doesn't cost you anything either. It's just, if you've seen and heard the game and you like it, definitely support us. And we love it. So, yeah. So, so moving on, how are some of the other projects going on at the office outside of Guns in Hamsterdam?
So we are, with just the horror project. The stealth action horror project. I think we're just going to call it interim. Like we had a kind of a meeting to talk about, hey, just what do we call this while we're working on it? So we're just going to call it the horror project.
The horror project.
Project horror.
Okay.
So Project Horror, we're trying to do a couple of things, right? One is to show people more of what we're working on. So this is something that we're going to try to do on a consistent basis. So maybe say every week we'll stream a little bit about like what we're doing. And so we kind of talked about, so it started with a lot of just, like what we typically start a game, it's a lot of mechanic exploration, right? It's like, okay, what will be an interesting set of mechanics or unique set of mechanics that, that will make this game work, and thematically, what do we want a game to be? So let's say, okay, we want to make a horror game that has like, that features stealth, where like, it's intense that way. What are some of the mechanics that makes this work? So we do a lot of like mechanic experimentation. And right now, actually, so the original like sort of framework for the game, or the theme for the game, is that we also want to tweak the space, right? To make the environment, the space, be incongruous, where like we would create enough dissonance for you to feel like, oh, like what's happening. Like you need to kind of figure out how the space orients and whatnot. So we're just doing a lot of experiment with the space, how to vary that up, and that's been the last 3 weeks. We give ourselves a 3-week window to do any number of experimentations, such as like maybe you can walk on wall, walk on ceilings, rotating the space, rotating objects in the space, move stuff around. You can have like these distortion fields that like swing back and forth, and you'll be like entering and exiting different space, like alternate realities. So we've been doing a lot of experimentation like that, and basically by next week our goal is to wrap it up and see like what interesting things in our toolbox do we want to keep, and are we having to sort of build levels and design the environment with these elements in place. So we've been doing a lot of experiments just with that. And we were also like kind of doing a little bit of soul searching and figuring out what is the core message that we want to embody in the game. Like what is the ethos of the game? What's the soul of the game? And that, because I mean that will start to drive like how we want the narrative, like what the theme to be. So I think generally I think so we talked about the game being more about psychological state, like being more of people's a struggle for someone's mind. So it's like this battle between like digital and organic, life and death, chaos and just basically order and chaos. So that it's a sort of a struggle with people's mind. Do you overcome or do you descend into madness and stuff like that? And thematically related to that. So with that in mind, that I think that will reinforce or inform the art development of it, and the narrative of it, and some of the design choices that we make. So it's like tying things up in that regard. And then, so anyways, that's the horror project, and the survival project. It's right now Still a lot about movement, and the next phase is like sort of more populating the world to have the world to be more, I guess, lush from the point of view of having more stuff in it for you to explore and do, and to see how smooth the movement is within that world. And the next phase is going to be like revisiting the crafting, building, terraforming part.
Is there like a degree of like procedural generation in any part of this?
Yes. In fact, yeah. So the goal of the underlying system is to have the world be procedurally generated, and to have the flora in the world be procedurally generated.
Cool. Awesome. So interesting. Sounds a little like it touches on almost that, what's it called? Not dementia, but a different horror game along the same lines that have those similar themes as well. It'll come to me eventually, but it starts with a D, I think. So anyways, great stuff. So we've gotten a lot of feedback lately from players on, like, obviously you guys love some of the content we put out, especially in the updates for Guns of Icarus. And I guess a common reoccurring question we get often is, how come we can't see more maps more frequently, or why is it that it takes so long to publish these different, especially unique environments into the game? So I thought, we'd take a little time and discuss a little bit about the process on just generally what goes into starting from beginning in the planning stages to the final update. What all the effort we have going into it, and how much time it takes, and why it takes that much time, and however would you be willing to share a little bit with us how the office goes about this kind of process?
Yeah, I mean, like part of the reason why it takes so long to make the map has to do with the scope and scale of the maps themselves, and just really kind of the nature of the game itself. If this is if this is not a, airship combat game that takes place, in these like big environments, then yes, I think we should be able to test in prototype maps a lot faster. But because these are like big air vehicular
Open
combat, open space type of outdoor open space kind of a game. The way we structure the way we design, the way we have to make the maps is like it's
a fair bit more
it's more a little bit more like involved than so. I think part of it is just the nature of the game. And we probably, now are working a little bit better than we used to. Used to take longer. So we with making more maps, we also learn some things to speed things up a bit more. But generally, right now we'll prototype a new map, right? We'll have like say a certain theme, or we have some game mode in mind. We'll prototype a new map, and we'll basically sort of use the terrain generator, or sometimes not even terrain generator, or just kind of use gray box to like blocks, right? Just whatever default assets that we already have to create a map, and we'll just test how it plays without art, right? And usually that can take that part can take a week, 2 weeks. Let's just say 1 to 3 weeks, because we want to like just test and see how it plays, how it feels.
Just the feeling.
Especially if we're designing. If we're designing this for a existing game mode, then it's a little bit more straight. It's a little bit easier, but it would take especially longer if we're designing a new game mode on top of that. But generally, it takes a while just to kind of play and tweak and make sure that it plays right. And like just to kind of take different ships and fly around and see, oh yeah, hey, maybe there's some strategic opportunity and whatnot, right? So it's like just part of the gray box design process. And then once we are pretty locked in to how the game, like how the level plays, and then we'll do an art pass. And then doing an art pass is also pretty involved. I mean, it takes, you know, a while to like, sometimes if we have new assets, it takes a while to actually generate the new assets, because sometimes we create them, like model them and texture and whatnot. And especially if we're creating a new biome, a new environment, then, you know, like the set dressing takes a while. I mean, there's no two ways around it. It's not, you know, it's like, because we're creating a large outdoor environment that has to be convincing and it has to look new and look differently. So like, you know, the art pass takes a while, and then after the art pass, we'll play a bit more to test it and to like polish it and to fix, like, you know, say collision issues and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, just the weeks adds up, and at the end of it, usually it takes like, well, it takes a few months. Well, like, I mean, we'll probably budget, say like a month to a month and a half just to create a map, because, you know, we will also have to test, to prototype, and then to, you know, to do art pass and actually create new assets and whatnot. But so that's like brand new maps, right? And while if we're really doing a new game mode, then we have to create like, you know, logic and mechanic, and, you know, make sure that the director supports a new mode, and that takes longer. And if we're just like kind of reusing the art for like a variant of a map for a different game mode, or that usually takes that usually can be done very quickly. And once we do that, I mean, within a day, and once we do that, then, you know, we can have people test it.
I know that on some occasions people ask to have bigger lobbies, you know, lots more ships, and I think that's obviously the problem there is performance. People's computers would start to melt if they couldn't handle seeing all the geometry and all the information and data that they would need to run to see the other ships and interact in the environment. So even with the environment itself, that's certainly a factor as well, making sure it's balanced so that you can have 4v4 lobbies without any kind of frame rate drops or issues for players too, right? What was the biggest challenge was there a lot of optimization work that had to be done with the alliance maps moving over to PvP? Or was it pretty straightforward since a lot of it was kind of on the same parallel?
It's
information and data.
Moving alliance maps to PvP is pretty straightforward. It's really more like finding interesting parts of the map, or finding, you know, just look at how, you know, how we can make an alliance map with a different set of objectives look interesting for PvP or for deathmatch. And some of the work is like actually, well, maybe a lot of the work is actually defining spawning. You know, how to make spawn balance, and how to make sure that the spawns are like interesting and not like broken, or, you know. So
spawning into ships.
Well, so there is
things like that.
But it's more like looking at like team spawns and making sure that they're balanced, and making sure that, you know, there's not a lot of opportunities that you can't just like, you know, spawn camp somebody or whatever, right? So it's like, so it's just looking at, I guess, balance, and looking at how to make PvP combat interesting, especially if it's Kingdom Hill, you know. So like to make sure that the points that are being contested have like, it will be interesting for both like defending it and attacking it,
right?
So it's actually more of that, and the actual implementation work doesn't really take long.
So was deathmatch the first game mode designed for the game when it was first developed?
Yes.
Was it? And
I think so.
I'm going out on a limb, but I would assume not Desert Scrap, but Battle of the Dunes was the first map, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a nice open environment. It's a little easier to work with in terms of the scope of it. So
I think for a releasable map, yes. I mean, we tried some maps that, you know, didn't work.
Would you argue that Periton was the most complicated map to work with?
Periton is complicated, really, because we had a lot of collision issues.
Yeah.
I remember you used to get sucked into the crane.
Yeah.
They used to say the two most dangerous bird on Periton were the crane and the ducks.
It wasn't
Yeah,
the enemy; it was always the environment.
I think it's the most as it turned out over time, it's the most debug intensive map.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of information going on there too. I mean, all the buildings and geometry there. Yeah. What was the most interesting map that's been worked on? Design or technical or whatever it may be, artistically.
That's a good question. I think that's maybe subjective.
In your opinion, then, perhaps.
In
your experience seeing it, yeah. What really caught your eye the most?
I mean, like somehow in my mind, top of mind, maybe Canyon.
Ambush.
Yeah. Just because, I feel like when we were doing it, we did it to offer with a different like gameplay style in mind. It's really, it's designed to be, with the intent to make combat more tactical, so like more routes to get to, the enemy spawns, different ways to, flank and set up, points of attack and attack and defend and do, a lot of cover and whatnot. Yeah. So, and we obviously had like our challenges making them, right? Because, end up like, some people like play really, really defensively, or, they can't find each other, or, I mean, that still happens, right? Like, it's like there's a lot of, sometimes like, people, if teams play conservatively, there's a lot of Marco Polo going on. I mean, everybody's been in a situation where like I thought that I had the perfect flank and I got to enemy spawn, and then enemy like went a completely different way and they're at my spawn, and just like kind of go around circles. Right. But at least when we made it, I think at the time we made it, we had, a different play style in mind. So at the time it was, it's definitely a more differentiated map, it's not like, it's just about
it is
cover and it's like, okay, fine, you generally know what people are, you can just like, just
I think
push
that
forward.
The vision for Canyon Ambush, the way that you say it, applies the most to Parrot and Rumble, funnily enough, because that is the one where people set up the ambushes, where people sneak up under the cloud cover and wait around the corners.
Yeah, I think it works for both, actually. Yeah.
Like the way that you experience or like explained the pitch for camera and ambush is like I experienced Periton, at least.
Periton is designed to be basically like, city, like urban warfare.
Yeah.
It really has that feel, right? Because I mean, you're just like, you generally know where people are. And it's just really about like moment to moment teamwork and like, just like fighting in the street alleys, right? Like
the cloud cover is insane. Like sometimes a galleon would just pop up in front of him, like, oh my god. It's like
quite dramatic. Yeah.
I feel like with I don't know, personally, I feel like with Periton, it's harder to be totally surprised for me, right? Like, but then it's just like, really about like, oh shit, just getting, it's like moment to moment, like combat, street fighting combat, that kind of thing.
It's constantly interaction. It's also a much smaller map.
It's a much smaller map, so it's built for engagement. It's hard to really like run around circles and stuff.
Well, having said that, Wendy, what's your favorite map? Like, it sounds like Periton is, but
Periton is almost my favorite map if Northern Fjords didn't have this beautiful pastel lighting, like this pink and like baby blue light. It does something to me emotionally. That the first time I saw it, I was in love with the kind of aesthetic it gave me. And it kind of set me, I remember the first time I saw it, and it set me on this path of weird, gory, pastel romanticism. And I now look to combine these aesthetics still in my life. Like I'm still trying to reach peak Northern Fjord in my life. I don't know.
Northern Fjord.
It's just beautiful to me, and I'm so upset that it belongs to the baronies.
For now.
Anglia.
For now, yeah.
For now.
You, Liz? What about you? What are your thoughts?
So there was a comedian, I can't remember who it was, but it was a comedian, and he had this joke where he was talking about how his child came up to him and asked who his favorite kid was. And he was like, it changes day to day. Don't ask me. You have like a 50% chance of getting it right. And that's how I feel with this kind of, where it very much so changes based on my mood. Every day it's like I've got a new favorite map, I've got a new favorite tool, I've got a new favorite gun. Like I'm too indecisive. The fact that I've managed to stay at Rashi from day one is absolutely amazing to me, because I am very much so a flip-flopper on literally everything else.
So is it fair to say that then every dev games we've had, given that you have specific favorite guns, specific favorite ships and environments, you almost never feel satisfied because all three don't align like the moons?
Just as a human being, I never feel satisfied anyway.
Okay.
So that's
Fair
nothing new. So it's nothing
So
personal.
is there
Mikko,
pressure
don't
on my
worry.
part setting up the map? I'm not going to think about this the next time I do. I'll be like, oh man, I got to think about which map, Liz is in the mood for. Like, I have no idea. The stress is on, the pressure's on.
It's a Wednesday on a full moon. I think Liz would like.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of great maps in Guns Vickers, but that at least gives you guys some ideas on, the insights with how all this works for us. And this doesn't even include the amount of feedback we get from players and thoughts and ideas, that would help kind of, I suppose, guide or influence the way we look at kind of some of the decisions we make behind the design of the map as well. So it is, I would say it's a pretty lengthy process. I mean, Howard says month and a half for brand new maps if there's no new game mode. I would argue it could be up to 3 or 4 months before, some of the original ideas come along, and then we actually start seeing that being implemented to its published form. So, and then there's always updating it. Like Howard said, there's a lot of, patchwork. Sometimes there needs to be some fixes and edits to the maps themselves to make them better. So it is kind of like a spirit journey, with these maps when it comes to that. So, but I did want to make a mention that because it is Friday, we are going to be having the Iron Forker Friday following this. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wendy.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
That's
my mind's mixing up.
That's your friend, your colleague, your companion.
And then following that, we have the Saturday Skirmish, or Saturday Chaos Skirmish. I don't know which order they use the words in, but it's Saturday and it's chaos, so it's great. It's good fun. Lots of individual players. If you like to play the game, you want to meet some new people, check it out. It's one of our bigger events, and there's a lot of crazy house rules they have, and a lot of unique gameplay concepts. So if you're looking for something different from what we normally offer in the game, check it out. Really, really great group of people and a lot of fun. So
and Lysania, who's always charming.
Yes,
I think it's Chaos Skirmish Saturdays.
That's probably right. I always just kind of mix it up.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. I'm in the Discord. Hold on.
I mixed it up because,
Chaos Skirmish Saturdays. It's Discord official, so that's what it is.
Gotcha. See, I tend to mix that up because you have Sunday, which is the Sunday Community Skirmish. So they put the day in front of the name, whereas Chaos Saturdays. So it's like, to me, it's like, well, as long as I mention the day and what the actual name is, that's fine. Like that. I can get past the finish line, But yes, Chaos Saturday Skirmish. Sunday Community Skirmish is more of a team-based thing. Definitely fun if you have a group of friends you want to bring in for a little more competitive action. And it's been running now since 2013. I know that the Sunday soapbox specials were the beginning, I think.
Yeah,
probably something before that too. But
soapbox specials, then they became Sunday Rumble.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And now they're called Sunday Community Skirmish to be a bit more inviting to people. You don't have to show up you just have to show up with your A game. You don't have to be some kind of elite player. As long as you have a team of 8 people who can play, try it.
It's fun. They have timed events. They have a structured rule set, and it's it's I think it's double elimination. So it feels a lot like a tournament, but it's a great way to see where you're strong and where you're weak, and it's all. I love watching the videos when I play. See what mistakes I made and how I can improve. So it's a nice.
Yeah, and the teams always give each other feedback. I feel afterwards, the times that my clan has played, we always sat down afterwards and we were like, okay. We knew you were coming this route way too often. We could set up the ambush, and then you just started meat grinding and panicking. So that's where you went wrong from our end. And it's such a mature way to encounter and to start competitive gameplay. So don't be scared to join in. The more new people join in, the easier the entrance level gets. So be brave.
Yep. And then to round off the weekend, going into Monday is the Munker Monday Madness, which is sort of basically it's kind of an open-ended fun with only Minds, I think. Like I think there's some house rules that they include, but Minds is definitely the theme.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't bring Minds, you're a heretic, obviously. So
Yeah.
it's clear. So yeah. So I think we covered everything here now. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend. We'll have more information about PS4 progress as soon as we have everything locked down. So we'll be sure to keep you guys in the loop, probably in the next couple of weeks here. So stay tuned, check it out. We'll make sure to mention it when the time is right. And until then, be sure to join us for the Tuesday. Oh, yeah.
Well, generally, I would just say that we're trying to finalize obviously release date. And just try to work with Sony and see when we can announce that. And I think we have, by now, I'm pretty certain we have a release date. I know about, I pretty much know when we're going to release it. I just don't know when to make the announcement because, we have to work through them to make an announcement. So we're trying to figure that out. We've never done it before. So it's not like Steam, we set the release date, I can just say whatever I want, but generally that's happening. I pretty much know when the pre-order is going to happening. And so with that said, there is going to be a pre-order. So people will be able to pre-order the game on PS4 with a pre-order discount plus some exclusive items, and that we should be able to, that I think
Next
that's
week?
going to happen.
What's in the plan?
Well, I don't know, because we might, we might actually drop. So for example, we might, because part of the release is PS blog post, right? We might do the release announcement then, and we might, and that might happen. That might happen say 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And before then, we might not be able to announce the release date. I'm not sure. So,
Right.
but generally,
Fingers crossed.
yeah. So I know when the release coming. It's coming. It's the release date is pretty set. I think it sounds like. And we just gotta turn around all the final assets right now, and we'll start with that. I want to say it's just there's a pre-order coming. The pre-order have a nice discount, and it's gonna come with a couple items that are gonna be exclusive to that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. They have straight from the top there. So yeah, we'll keep you guys in the loop once we know all the details that are completely finalized. We'll make announcements and then we'll follow up on the streams. So, but yeah, see you guys all next Tuesday for the Dev Games, and enjoy yourselves in the weekend for all the events. Until then, thanks for playing with Guns of Icarus. Have yourselves a good weekend.
Bye.